Who cares if people have dark skin, right?
Kaanakan iti with expiration.
You find any inspiration in this we have done, and you have done your noble part.
El Maestro Speaks podcast.
Hello, once again, this is El Maestro Speaks podcast. And today we don't have anyone with us today. We're having conversation with. So it's just me and you talking about things. Alright, so I'll start with, have you ever had this feeling when you were young of being something like you're a little bit, let's just say it straight. You're arrogant in some way. Like, have you ever had the feeling that in terms of learning, you will be saying, well, I just learned this new things and I think this would be better than what you have already know. Saying that to an old person. Have you ever had that experience? Say, for example, say in particular skill can I use as an example here? Fixing cars. Say, for example, like that. Like you're a new mechanic, and then you just came out from training. Say, for example, and then you are trying to do a job, and then you say, "Oh, I think I learned something better, a new technique of doing things." And then you try to contradict the old ways of doing things, only to find out that the old ways works better than what you have learned. Have you ever had that kind of experience? Well, I think in my case, I had that a lot. So I like to call that one the young blood arrogance. Most of us, I guess, experience that thing, like because we're so enthusiastic, we're so excited to like do things or apply what we learned, and then at times it comes out as being arrogant, right? Because at times we are trying to contradict things. I mean, to disregard the old ways of doing things because we thought they're obsolete. Well, it's part of learning, they say. Okay. I read one quote before that says, "It's okay to make mistake as long as you have the courage to admit them. At the same time, use the mistake to learn, right? Use it as your learning opportunity." This will be the main topic that we'll be talking about today, right? And this we'll be basing it in this code. I don't know who made this code. I don't know if it's a Chinese proverb. And it says there, to know the road ahead, ask those coming back, right? Now, it is true that, of course, in order to know how we will deal with things, times we ask advice from our elders, right? And we do that in all aspects of life. When it comes to love, we ask um, our parents, our elders, about their experiences. About newlyweds, will ask those old people about marriage life, right? And we did the same with our job, right? That's why we have internships. Police have, or criminology have their internship. Nurses also have their internship. Mechanics will have their internships. I think they call it the OJT, on-job training, right? And of course, teachers also have their internship. Um, it's so unfortunate that I think the latest internship that those college students had with us is too short, I guess, compared to what we had when we were the one in college. Now, those internships be will be the basis of you learning what really is happening in your chosen fields, right? Because at times, what you're learning in the four corners of your classroom is not really, um, I wouldn't say not applicable, but sometimes it does not really meet the needs of those who are in the field. At times it comes short, at times it's not the tools that you need at the moment. All right? So during this internship, that is the time that you need to change, you need to observe, and you need to listen to whoever is guiding you. That's how important internship is, or on job training, apprenticeship. You know that in the olden times, back in the days when they don't have universities, if you want to be a doctor, you will do apprenticeship, right? So if you want to be a doctor, you work, or you work under a doctor, a famous doctor, as the apprentice, and you practice the trade by working for him. That's how people get their degree in the olden days, and I think it's uh, it's effective, right? Well, we cannot do that today because of the population that we had now, and it will be a hindrance to the professionals doing their work if we are going to practice that today. But it is also one way of learning: apprenticeship, internship. So at times, those who had been working under a lawyer, those paralegals, are sometimes better than someone who graduated law because they're actually working for a lawyer, right? That's how effective apprenticeship is, or internship, or on job training, whatever term you want to call it. So, if you are the person under this internship or under this program, the very best thing that you have to do is you have to try everything in your power to absorb knowledge that you can get from that experience, right? Try to reconcile these principles that you learn from the classroom and try to see if it can connect to any strategies, system, or ways that you are seeing in the field. That's how you should maximize the use of your time during your internship, right? You are there to learn, not to insist things that you learn in the corners of your classroom. Because you have to remember that those people working in the field that you're observing came from the four corners of the classroom also. And at times they also change their perspective, their principles when they immerse themselves in the real world. Real world is a cliche, right? But we'll be using that a lot on this podcast, this episode. Well, and how do we, or how can we get a lot of learning from our internship? We should also be guided by another quote or another saying. I think this is a Chinese proverb again. That says that in order to taste one's tea, one must empty his or her cup, right? So you have to empty your cup of learning so that you can absorb the learnings that you can get from your internship. This is an advice that everyone should take, especially those who are still young and are coming up to be one of the best professionals that we'll be having in this country. I'm relating this experience because I'm not really sure how true, but I have heard this story of an intern who was corrected by his supervising, let's just say supervising or critic teacher, but then she just insisted on how she do things. um, she was corrected on how she's going to write her plans. She was corrected on how she's going to do classroom management or behavioral management. But then she still insisted on how she does things. And I was thinking, how are you going to learn? What is the essence of you having this internship if you are not really learning? I mean, you're not really absorbing what is being shared to you. So we are, I mean, in my case, I was thinking of this one. I was looking at this situation. I was thinking, telling to myself that, oh my goodness, this fellow will never last long in this profession that she chose if she's not going to change her ways, and she won't be lasting long. I was looking at that, if that is the trajectory of her career, if she's not going to change. And I'm hoping that she's going to change because we human change, right? There's nothing permanent in this world. The only permanent thing in this world is change. And I am hoping and praying that she's going to. I am not saying that we have to follow, we have to do everything that um this our supervising instructors say, or critics will be telling us. No, we have to be critical also. I mean, we have to we have to tread carefully, of course, and at least listen to them because they've been there. They've been there. Like I said a while ago, if you want to know the road ahead, ask those who are coming back. They're already coming back. You're still going. So yeah, you're asking. You were there to ask what the road ahead looks like. How is it? How are you going to travel on that road? They knew it. And they're sharing you ways on how you're going to travel on that road. And you have to listen to them, right? Of course, along the way, you are going to incorporate what you've learned. You're going to build your own system also. But since you're starting, you are absorbing the knowledge from them. You have to listen. And there is also another situation here wherein one of the teacher in charge, how we're going to call this one, let's just call them as supervising teachers, right? Again, I'm not sure if this is true, but then let's just use this story as an example. I mean, let's just use it to talk about things. She gave her some corrections, but then she said again that it's okay. I already have someone who's helping me. And my question there is, who is your supervising instructor or supervising teacher? Is it the one helping you or the one sharing you or showing you some corrections on what you did? In those cases, who are you going to follow? The one that is sharing you, or I mean, your supervising teacher, or the one who's you can do both. You can follow them both, but for the meantime, for that instant moment, you have to follow what your supervising teacher is telling you. If it helps you, then why not follow it? Why insist on something that you know? There are things that we don't understand at times, right? We are just we are students. I'm not saying just student, but you are a student. You'll become the next professionals. And at times there are some corrections. I mean, there are some things that they ask you to do that you really don't understand. But as you go along the way, as you become the professional and as you start in your career, you will soon understand why, right? And if you, as you go along your travel, found out that that thing that your supervising teacher told you is not really helping, then you discard it and don't share it if you will become a supervising teacher too. The key here is we have to be open. It's very easy to say that we have to be open-minded. We have to, yeah, you have to pour your cup to taste one's coffee. It's very easy to say, but it's very difficult to do. We are all guilty of that, right? We know what's right, but at times it's very difficult to do what's right. And to have a very successful internship, you have to, at times, just listen and try hard to do what's right. Empty your cup. The hindrance to emptying our cup is our pride, right? We have that, what I'm saying a while back, the young blood's arrogance, the young blood arrogance, right? Because when we were in college, that's what they're saying is telling us also that the traditional way is not that there's not this one, it's not like that, it's not working. The way we were taught is very traditional and it's wrong. Okay, now this is the thing. If the traditional way of teaching is so wrong, you were taught traditionally, and did you learn? If the answer is yes, then traditional teaching is not wrong. It's just that there is a better way of teaching. It should be laid out like that. Okay, we're in. This is better than I think the traditional way, but then, okay, we are free to explore things like that. Because the way they laid it out to us when we were the student is that the traditional way is wrong, things like that. Well, maybe it's wrong in these days, but we do not say it's wrong because we learn that way. But we can say there's a better way of teaching, something like that. Now, if that better way that you learn from the classroom seems to be not being applied when you go to the field, observe. As an intern, you have to observe first. You have to observe. You have to observe. After that, you listen. Listen to how things are being done. You are being prepared. As an intern, you are being prepared. You're being trained because you will be the next to carry the torch. If you're a teacher, if you're a policeman, thanks for example. Right. Now, since I'm a teacher, I'm using teaching in field of teaching as an example here, but this is applicable to all kinds of career. You'll be the next teacher. So you have to, at all times, try to listen. It's not bad to ask questions. So ask questions. Ask questions that will make you understand things. And of course, for all the supervising instructors or teachers, you have to be open also to be questioned by your apprentice. Okay? Having a conversation is the start of learning. I mean, you ask question, you have a conversation. It will help. The supervising teacher shall help the apprentice understand, and through their conversation, understanding will grow. And when you understand things, you will have a better perspective. And when you have that better perspective, you have a better way of dealing with it, dealing with the situation. So you have to listen, and then after that, you have to adopt. Okay? And you have to build your system also. That's how you start. And when you are the one standing there as the professional teacher, it's very easy for you to adapt. It's very easy for you to integrate what you have learned from the four corners of the classroom, because you cannot change a system, the entire system, instantly. It takes work. Work that will start from you. Okay? And that will start when you are going to listen. This is a thought I'd been thinking when I heard that story. I just want to share it to you. That's why I had this podcast, solo podcast for now, to share these thoughts. And I hope those who are listening may be enlightened or will take my advice. Again, as an apprentice, we have to empty our cup. To empty our cup, we have to swallow our pride. And when we empty our cup, we have to get as much learning as we can. After that, using the learning that you had from your apprenticeship, you develop your own system, incorporating what you learned from the four corners of your classroom and integrating what you learned from the field, the realities of the field. Put them together and you'll come up with a new system that will change the system that you don't like. If you don't like the system, then you can change it, but not instantly. You work through it slowly, right? And you have to be very careful because sometimes, at times, you will not notice, but when you are starting working, you say, okay, I'll try to change the system. It should go like this, slowly. But then you will not notice that the system has changed you. It's like the frog in a boiling water analogy, right? So times you have to, it's very good to reflect on yourself from time to time to see what you've been through. But that's just another lesson. Okay, that's another topic from in another episode of this podcast. And for now, this is what I'm saying. In an apprenticeship, in an internship, you have to empty your cup, swallow your pride to empty your cup, get as much knowledge as you can, and then those knowledge that you had from that experience and what you had from the four corners of your classroom, you integrate them, and you come up with a new system. That's it for this episode of El Maestro Speaks podcast. I'll be seeing you again, and have a good day, have a good night, have a good time, everyone. God bless.